KiwiNation is brought to you by WebDrive, Studio Alexander, Young and Shand, and Kiwi FM. It'll be a good question for Carey, actually, first up, Carey. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you feel like a Kiwi?
I do. You probably feel like wherever you move to. I moved here 16 years ago, and progressively, although Australia for some time, the number one question people would ask me is when you're going home.
Yeah.
Now they ask me how long I'm staying.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it sort of changes over time, but yeah, I've got a Kiwi family. And everything I do is it's funny because you link certain things to your lifestyle, but when I came over, rugby was not that big in Australia, so I'm a big supporter of the All Blacks.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Must be part Kiwi.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a characteristic of being Kiwi.
I think so. Yeah. It's one of the things you got to tick off. Okay, so you are Australian originally, yeah, and you came here 16 years ago, as we just found out. What were you doing in Australia before you came over?
I was involved with Ray White in Australia as well, and worked in Sydney, and then moved to Western Australia to help them, assist them to change over a business to the Ray White brand.
Originally as a real estate agent?
Yeah, originally as a real estate agent. That's all I've done. From the age of 17, that's real estate's what I've done.
17?
Yeah.
Did you finish school?
You
just finished school,
yeah,
see?
What you call year 10, and what
okay.
you call year 10. So, not overly educated, but learned quickly about what happens.
What attracted you to property?
My family, my dad had a great interest in property. He had a number of properties himself, but I had a friend at school whose father was a real estate man, and I used to go up there every weekend, and he said that he would give me a job as a cadet.
What was different about the property market back then to today? Because I've only been exposed to the property market for the last 5 years, and too expensive for me.
That's the key difference. It was just cheaper.
Yeah.
But in reality, houses are 100 years old. Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed in the property industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I mean, how did you work your way up the ranks of Ray White? Were you standing out as an agent?
Well, you got to work hard to get places.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to move to Sydney to assist Ray White in their growth. That was back in 1999. Sorry, that was back in 1989.
Yeah.
And started as an apprentice there, calling auctions, doing some training, doing very much the groundwork, and from that part, opportunities opened up, really.
Yeah.
Good business for opportunity to come.
Yeah. And then involved in the expansion over here as well to New Zealand.
Yeah, I moved from Western Australia where Ray White had grown, but at the same time they'd purchased a business in New Zealand, a small business. Yep. The opportunity to come to New Zealand to offer the Ray White flavour to the business came, and I came over here for a short period and sort of thought, why not?
Yeah. So the Ray White brand didn't exist in New Zealand until you came across.
Well,
until they made that.
it's a funny thing, but when in the work that I did in Western Australia, that they changed over to Ray White within 3 months.
Oh, really?
When I came to New Zealand, it took 5 years.
Oh, okay. Why did it take so long? That's a dramatic difference.
Yeah.
Was it the size of the company, or?
No, at the time, some of you guys, some of your listeners will certainly remember that there was an influx of Australian businesses, bigger models, companies like Mitre 10, Harvey Norman, Freedom Furniture, a number of the companies that you know today. And there was also a campaign by a company called Challenge Petrol.
Yes.
Whether you remember that. And it was very much about Buy New Zealand.
Yeah.
And this was because there was an ongoing threat by franchisers coming into New Zealand that were bringing much bigger models. So they were bringing the mega models, Bunnings, a number of... No, we're in there.
Yeah.
Like we were one of those models that was stretching its footprint across the Tasman. Kiwi's not sure about that,
Yeah.
Didn't know whether this business was here to take it back to Australia, or the sort of the banks had mastered their shares as well. So there was a general apathy in regards to the trust level of these businesses coming over here. What was their agenda? Were they investing in New Zealand or investing in their own business? Ray White home was Australia.
Yeah.
Came with the same brush.
Yeah.
Challenging.
Yeah. So it took 5 years to kind of overcome that, really.
Well, it took 5 years to develop the relationship between our owners and be strong enough for them to believe that the future of their trust was in Ray White.
Yeah.
And once that was established, then it was sort of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And it went quickly. But it was a snail's pace to get it there.
Good things take time.
Good things take time.
And of course, I guess the property cycle has an effect on that in some way as well, doesn't it?
Oh, not when you're in for the long term. No, not from our perspective. You know, you don't buy a house to watch the property cycle. You don't buy a business to sort of watch the market cycles. Generally, you buy something to invest and continue to reinvest. And providing that's your mission, then ours was a long-term view, never a short or medium-term view, and that's working well.
So you landed here in New Zealand. You've been given the objective to kind of transition this business into Ray White and then grow it. What did you do? What happened?
Well, I had some 2 o'clock moments in the morning about how do I do this thing.
Hot sweats.
And hot sweats and frustrating. What happens when another person buys your business is that if you've got a previous name, you stop investing straight away. So even things like buying balloons or pens and pencils, if it's in our old name, what's Ray White going to do? Are they going to, so it just stopped, dead set, stopped, and so we had a brand name that no one was investing in. We had a name that was sort of ready to go that no one wanted. So we're like we're like a sort of a floating in the middle of the ocean there somewhere. The biggest challenge for me was how to build trust around our business. I decided that we should merge the names.
Yeah.
So we actually went to Ray White United.
Oh, really?
And that was sort of the half-pregnant statement that if I could do that, then our destination was pretty clear. So it took us 5 years under United Realty. It took us 2 years Ray White United Realty, and then we went to Ray White in 1999.
Was there resistance amongst the staff and employees?
There wasn't resistance. There was a fact that there was a strong brand recognition for what we had, and who was Ray White.
Yeah. So that really is the challenge, isn't it? It's the gauntlet to actually build a brand like that from scratch and in a new market.
But it's also the challenge of translating the old values that they have with the old brand with the new brand and making sure they come across. Because part of the reason that you bought that first brand is for the values
because
that
it was
it
so
had.
great.
It's and to some degree the cultural bridge forming between different companies and different brands took some time.
To give us an idea of the challenge that you had, how many people were in the business when you took it over, and how many customers would you guys have had throughout the country?
There were 53 offices at that time, so our customers were like our franchise owners.
Yeah.
So it was a mid-placed group. It was a good group. It had relevance.
Yeah.
The public responded. They had probably market share around 8 to 9% of New Zealand.
Yeah.
Which potentially adds up to about 8,000, 9,000 sales per annum, something around that sort of region.
Did something like this totally envelop your life at the time? How do you balance your lifestyle with this?
Yeah, I referee rugby league.
Oh, cool.
So when you've got the under 15s and you've got a group of guys saying stuff and you've got a group of supporters on the sidelines saying stuff that don't know what you do during the day, it can be quite a levelling experience.
Yeah.
That's what I do to keep grounded.
It must be completely different. Going from high level managing Ray White to, okay, guys, this is what we need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's sort of it's only like watching our franchises run around on a field, 100 by 50.
Yeah.
It can be orderly, or it can get a bit messy.
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
I bet. So, what happened? You came across. You helped transfer the business through to Ray White.
Yeah.
Now you're running. You've got the Ray White brand in New Zealand. What happened from there till now?
There was a story on the cusp of us staying in New Zealand, or actually, rethinking our position.
Yeah.
In Hamilton, we lost 4 significant businesses from United Realty. They said, "Fellas, you're going to go Ray White. We don't want to do this.
Yeah.
We would trust our own model." They said, "We're out." That was a big sideswipe. It got us blindfolded. We sort of thought, everyone loves working with Ray White.
Yeah.
Why would you not? These guys said, "We don't like working with Ray White. We're not. We're out." I spent 6 weeks in Hamilton to reposition our business. We got another business to join Ray White, and with that we got an additional office at Raglan.
Yeah.
They were the first offices to become Ray White, and they were the catalyst for our whole organisation in New Zealand.
Why were they so key?
Because we moved them before the group. That was the first thing. So they were like an independent brand. They could see the value in Ray White because they'd never seen our previous business.
Yeah.
So they were looking at us, fresh on the dance floor. These guys have got a bit to offer.
They were most motivated to give it a shot.
Yeah, they were, they had their own model, but they said our model hasn't got, it's not future-proofed.
Yeah.
You guys probably offer that. They joined us. The bonus was that we got the Raglan business today. The Raglan business is our highest market share business in New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
And you come into our offices, the pictures up of Raglan, guys don't necessarily know, but that was a turning point. You say, why did you have the strength to go to Ray White? That was it.
Yeah.
That said to me that if there was an Armageddon, I'd found it, and we can go for it.
Yeah.
Just as an aside to that, I was down at Raglan recently, and prices are still pretty decent in that part of the country.
Prices are still decent on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Good place to be.
Isn't it? Yeah. So, I mean, but yet again, I come back to this idea of the property cycle. I mean, it does, it affects the way you guys work, and it must do. And right now we're at a very interesting time on the other side of the bubble, I suppose. You guys have probably had a pretty good past decade, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because the property market is like a political. There's like political parties. At the moment the buyer's in power. At the moment the tenant's in power. Previous position has been the seller in power. The landlord's been in power. Things change, things move. Does that change the ability of the real estate industry as an agent in the middle? We're probably more relevant than we've ever been. It's tougher out there. People do require good real estate people.
I was about to say, no matter the situation, property is still changing hands,
Right.
Whether it's a super hot market or a cool market, and you guys are persistently within that exchange, helping both sides.
And our market fattens out, our industry fattens out like any other industry. And then when things come thinner, our industry self-cleanses.
Yeah.
Is that cleansing of people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cleansing of unproductive people.
Yeah.
So because property can attract a lot of fakers, can't it? People who aren't really up to the task or aren't really in it for the long term. They just see an opportunity and get in there, and then when the times get tough, they're out.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I got posed when I first it was only my second week in the business, and I got a phone call from another station, a fairly significant station, and they said, a lady has just rung our station and your Ponsonby office is sold. her house in 2 days, and they charged her $20,000. And he said to me, he said, how do you justify that? And I'd only been in the job 2 weeks, and I'm thinking, you know, probably justify it by getting a flight back to Australia. I'm
this
sort
is
of,
tough.
yeah, I'm sort of, rolling my eyes up, going, you know, welcome to your new job.
Yeah.
You justify it simply through the fact that our industry is built on risk. Those people who sell pay a price for the people who don't.
Yep.
We provide a service that is usable at a zero price until someone decides to sell, and the value of an agent, be that a productive agent, gets worked out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Now there is some bonus business, but that's not there now. Hasn't been there for 2.5, 3 years. The property market is the first one to give you an indication of the economy. We're always first to move. We're first into it, and we're first out.
Especially in New Zealand.
Especially in New Zealand. The thirst for New Zealand generally in the property market does not build new homes. So our sense of upgrading in 10% margins is probably the highest in the world.
Yeah, interesting.
Is that the kind of this talk you were just giving us before about about the sort of people that are required? Is that a pep talk that you've given to prospective agents in the past? Do you actually sort of coach them through what they might be encountering in the future and the sort of attitude that they need to have in order to try and weed out the bad eggs before they get in there?
It's an interesting business because it's a business within a business. So it's one where you're not going to be paid unless you sell property. So you can come to work, and some guys come to work. They put on a tie and they've got a telephone, they've got a desk to go to. That's not bad. Other guys will come to work and want to make a bit of money. Other guys will want to make a career path out of it. So we do attract along the line of lifestyle agents right up to career agents and everyone in between.
Okay. But they all represent the brand, don't they?
They all represent the brand, but we were talking a little bit before about an individual from one of the other companies. This business is about the person first and the brand second. Because I understand what you're saying, that they represent the brand, but they need to get in front of people first to be able to represent the brand. So people choose people.
Right,
not brands.
Okay, interesting. So you believe that. So if someone's looking to sell a house and they're looking for an agent, they will choose a person over the brand and where they come from.
They will choose a person based on the fact that they're okay with the brand.
Yeah.
That the person, if we've got all the best people in Ray White, then we'll have the best business.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's almost like picking a salesperson based on the suit they wear.
Yeah.
Like, they're associated with Ray White. That's a company who I've engaged with within the local market, so I'm okay with that. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like sort of saying, what's your favourite dairy? It's probably where you like the guy.
Yeah, that's true.
More than like the dairy.
Yeah. How many real estate companies are there in New Zealand?
Well, there. When I came over, it was a whole different matrix, and a lot have gone.
Yeah.
There are approximately about 8 sizable companies.
Yeah.
5 of those we would treat as direct competitors. A couple of others are in a different space.
Yeah.
How has online changed things?
Oh, online's been terrific.
Didn't you guys just have a bit of an announcement recently? Number one online at something? You tell us.
It's the Kiwi running across the screen. We were a first mover with Trade Me 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Aghast at the industry. The industry said you shouldn't do this. This is getting into space with private sellers.
Yeah.
But I did know Sam Morgan through another venture. He wanted to do this. We're thirsty. We're a young organisation. We're keen to deliver value, and it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It truly to be going where Kiwis are at a value proposition to be a first mover was terrific. It's gone up like an escalator.
How did the industry react when you said, "Look, we're going to jump on Trade Me"? and we're not just going to dip our feet. We're going to jump full force in there. And
it was met with some level of disbelief because they look at other models and think, well, you know, if you do this will just be like an Australian model. It'll be like I wasn't going onto a website. I was joining a guy who had people that could look at our properties.
Yeah.
And I saw that as
someone with eyeballs.
Yeah, well, I could always take the properties off.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people sort of assume that you've built the bridge and then you're going to knock it down.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If it didn't work, you could have gone, look, sorry guys, this doesn't work for us. We're going to stop.
The other side, and you know, Carey's got to rethink about it.
Yeah.
That's that works. But if you don't try online, you don't try commenting online, you don't try being transparent online, and giving your properties exposure and your people exposure, then you're not going to do it through print.
On this note, I do actually read your blog, not every week, but it goes into my feed, so probably once a fortnight. And I don't know many CEO bloggers in New Zealand, and also CEO bloggers that actually blog rather than write press releases.
Yeah.
Yeah, and engage as well.
Yeah.
You're on Twitter as well?
On Twitter,
Yeah.
and on Facebook, although I see Facebook, you know, more for my family and
Yeah.
you know, putting the kids' photos.
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facebook does have that personal element.
I do believe in building our reputation ourselves. That's why I do it.
Yeah.
We had an interesting case study. We've got a big group now. We've got 130 odd officers, 132 officers, and maybe 1,500 or so people. I need to tell them what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I don't need to justify the decisions I make, but I can give insights into those decisions.
Yeah.
And a recent example was an office that we terminated in the Waikato. Officers around there, without me ringing them personally, and I did a couple, but the people, the officers, the communities, our salespeople will say, why did Carey do that? Like, why did he load the gun? Poor guy, all this sort of stuff. I can tell people now. Like, I can tell people why I did that without them making their own interpretation.
Right.
Yeah. It kind of makes the buck stop here. Instead of the community going, I think it was because of this, or this, someone go, oh, I read on his blog, here's exactly why. If you don't believe that, you know, get in contact with them.
Do you not give away any kind of competitive advantage by putting some of that information out there?
You probably do, but you may not be. If you don't put it out there, then you miss opportunity. So advantage and opportunity sort of work at diametrically opposed. Since I've been doing this, there's some downside, and that's that the public contact me directly on issues that they may have with Ray White.
Yeah.
But how good's that?
Yeah.
You like being accessible, yeah?
Well, I don't necessarily need to answer all the things, but I like us being transparent. Yeah, I like us pulling back the blanket on our company, and if people want to get in, let's go.
It changes the equation though, and I've seen this quite a bit with Vodafone since they've engaged online. And it changes how people interact with a brand when they say, I've had an issue, I sent an email to the CEO, and then sure, like, you're a busy man, you can't answer all these emails, but you can have people that help you. People want to say, like, the problem was solved after I talked to the CEO of Ray White. They may not actually get you, but it changes how people relate to a brand. It makes it seem more real rather than I sent it to them and they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in the success of Ray White than most.
Yeah.
And to me, if people can have access, it's no problem. But I'm more interested in who wants to work for us, and if it's built on that mechanism before that people join people, not companies, then I'm good to let people know what I do.
Do you think within business there is often a tendency to want to hide things or not be 100% honest about what's going on?
To some degree, but that's only because it's probably only because you don't know the outcome of being honest. I sort of say to guys, if you do something wrong, just say sorry. It's your best defence.
But we're taught as kids, aren't we, that the honesty is the best policy, and it will always work out in the end, right? Yeah. That if you tell a lie, it perpetuates.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and mate, if there's a problem, you say I'm sorry. most people don't want, most people don't have problems. But we don't set out to have problems. No one sets out to do that, but they do happen, and calm, you can address them and get them organised. Yeah.
Well, what's the this is the probing question of the hour. What's the biggest problem that you've encountered in the past decade, I suppose? What's the biggest thing?
Personal or business? It doesn't have to be strictly grey white.
Was it giving birth to the book Deliver?
No, I was probably looking for the pictures in Deliver. No, I write myself a letter every year. That is one of the. It's knowing what I've written. The biggest problem. I don't know whether I've got any real sort of big.
We could change the word problem to challenge, I suppose. And if this is interesting, I do want to talk about this letter that you write to yourself every year, and that's basically a challenge to yourself, isn't it?
Biggest challenge I have is firstly not knowing what I do, but I'm surprised that I do what I do. There you go. I find it uncomfortable.
In what way?
I find it out of character, but I find that I don't find myself getting up in the morning as a CEO of a good company, sort of big company. I find myself looking forward to different things. I do just find the whole sort of thing that I do a challenge. It's uncomfortable. That's what is a challenge.
So are you saying you never dreamed at any point that you would end up being a CEO of a large company like this?
Oh, not necessarily, but that doesn't mean that I was never going to not do it.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I just find the whole thing uncomfortable, but that works really well with me. That's what sort of keeps me.
But that's good though. If it wasn't uncomfortable, you're not learning. You're not growing as a person. You're not
sometimes
making
the
things
challenge
change.
is just to the challenge is just to do the job. That's my biggest challenge.
There are elements of in Google and everything that you were saying in terms of Google don't register a whole lot of patents. They just roll with the market. I'm sure they, smart business thinking would make you think that yes, we should do the patents, but then that exposes that to everyone else. So I'd rather be transparent to what they've got, and when they make a mistake, they say sorry as well.
Yeah, and the challenge of sort of running a business versus leading a business is very different.
Yeah.
I reckon most jokers can run a business, but generally they just end up running it into the ground. Trying to sort of, trying to lead a business is challenging.
Yeah.
Trying to give a business the energy and the motivation, the leadership that guys are looking for is everything.
Because that's key, isn't it? It's leadership. And so there's the two different skills. There's the business skills and there's the personal skills and being able to inspire.
Yeah, it's sort of manager versus leader stuff,
Yeah. Read a lot of books?
No.
Who inspires you? That's what I want to know.
No, I don't. I hardly read any books.
Listen to the tapes?
Don't listen to the tapes like music. Enjoy all sort of alternative music, like music. It's probably the guy who's trusted me the most is my boss, Brian White.
Yeah.
And he's had the biggest impact on my career. If guys mimic people and they follow people, then I'd sort of unashamedly say I follow him.
Yeah. Cool.
That works for me. He's generous. He's honest. He's if I want to grow up like that and in business terms, and I want my family to be like that, then I do that.
Yeah.
It's always refreshing to know someone who's in a position of responsibility or power actually looks up to someone else as well.
Yeah.
It's quite refreshing.
And again, I'm not sure that I do like the social networking though. I like what guys write. I like how the guys think and stuff like that. Rather than be inspired by anyone individually outside of my own family and sphere of influence.
If we could go back a little bit, you mentioned about writing a letter to yourself. Glenn and I know the backstory, but for the listeners, can you let us know what this is, how long you've been doing it?
Yeah. I've been doing it probably 20 years.
Wow. So what do you actually do? Like,
Well, it's a Dear Carey letter.
Yeah.
So it's like writing to yourself. It's writing promises to yourself. There's basically four headings. I do a summary of the previous year. With it might open up by saying, Dear Carey, you had a great year, or Dear Carey, you could have done better. And if someone else was to read the letter, they'd think, oh, who's Carey?
yeah.
That's the way I sort of write it. To myself, it's brutally honest.
Yeah.
There's no sort of place for fudging in there. And I write about my family, write about wealth, write about health, and write about goals.
Yeah.
They're the four. I added one this year of promises, only because there's a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
Each year more things seem to happen.
Mm.
So it goes under those headings. I seal up the letter, I give it to my brother, and he gives me his. And that's done at the beginning of the year.
Do you read it?
Huh?
Does he read yours? No.
Well, he can, I don't think so.
So your
Okay.
brother's been doing this just as long?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he gives me his.
Yeah.
And I just put it in the drawer, and it's just got personal on the front.
Yeah.
And then all that happens at the end of the year is I open it before Christmas,
Yeah.
and I see what I achieved, and then that's it for that year, and then after the new year I find a spot and write next year's.
Yeah. Have you kept all the letters?
I have kept all the letters,
Wow.
but I've never reviewed them,
Yeah. Yeah.
as in go back and see what I wanted to do then.
So where did you
I
get
think
this
it's
idea
about
from? 'Cause if you've been doing this for 20 years, you started out as a reasonably young person.
Yeah, I'm actually, to be honest, I don't know where I got
Oh,
the
okay.
idea from. It just
Yeah.
we did it one time, and I just I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
'Cause
know
some people
whether
might go,
someone's- I don't know
"That's-"
whether someone said to write down your goals or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And it sort of evolved into the
Yeah.
fact that. But all I know is that this year's letter, I know exactly I know exactly what's in the letter.
Mm.
Yeah.
And if I don't know what's in the letter, then it's not important to me.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I can open up the letter at the end of the year, and it's sort of, and I go, you didn't even go close to achieving that. That's because it wasn't really important.
All right.
Even though I wrote it at the time,
Yeah.
I know what I need to do this year. And some things surprise me that I don't do.
Yeah.
So you write the letter, so it's an extremely personal thing. But often we're told about goals, and you've got to let other people know. You've got to tell other people. You've got to share your aspirations and goals in order to make them happen. Do you believe that?
I believe that you remember 80%, even more of what you write and what you read. We could sort of listen to this, and you'll take away about 20% of it.
Mm.
If you were to take notes during it and then read it, you'd probably take 80% of this
Yeah.
discussion in. I just have a belief that if you write it, you read it, review it, then that's good enough for me. Do I want to share my goals with other people outside of my own family who don't even read the letter? No, I don't think so. No, no. I don't say the guy shouldn't sort of, stand up in the front of people and give their top 10 tips or top 10 goals for the year, but I find it very personal.
Yeah.
And I get more bounce out of it being personal.
So what are the implications? You've been doing this for 20 years. Well, what has happened? Like the first year, did you complete everything, or did it take a few years for you to kind of get a grasp, or have there been any side swipes where?
What's the big achievements?
Yeah.
I stopped smoking.
Oh wow.
I stopped smoking 10 years ago.
Excellent.
I sorted myself out financially, which took maybe 3 letters to do.
Yeah.
Just to even form a company, because I thought it was sort of, it was taking from the wrong people. I give, based on my letter. I have much better relationships in my life generally. Because of that, I'm a better worker.
Yeah.
Because of that, I know what to do, and I'm a healthier person. So, what are the defining moments in the letters? Just the fact that I'm here and I know them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing okay because of the letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really remarkable.
Mm.
There are not many people that would, first off, do this, but do this and achieve something,
Yeah.
but then also have the courage to tell other people that they've been doing all
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah, that's where the book deliver came from. It came from I said I want to write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to write a book. This is silly putting all just leaving all this out there.
Yeah.
You got to put it into something.
So tell us about Deliver. I don't have any copies with me.
Yep.
I have 2 signed copies. I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah.
The issue is I keep
know
loaning them to people.
You regard it as your best business book?
Yeah. It's my favourite
Yeah.
Kiwi business book. And that's the issue. I keep getting it back and I'm like, oh, Daniel, you've got to read this. Or, oh, Ben, you've got to read this. And so I get it back and I have it, I think, after I read them, the longest I had them was 4 days.
Yeah,
I haven't
sure.
seen them back. It's a book that just never comes back.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an impact book for me. I wrote it for me. I didn't necessarily write it for other people, and
I think that's what makes it good, really,
yeah.
really good, though.
other people sort of read it, and then someone said you should do this with it, and you should do that. I haven't put much energy behind it. Once it was out, that was sort of where it stopped. No one's going to make, unless they're Stephen King or something, and Ben, you've written your book, but it's hard to make money out of books if that's your intention. But if your intention, again, is to cultivate, to help, to have your ethics and your business understanding out there, then it's achieved all of that by a long way.
I think that's the essence of a great book, though. Having written a book myself as well, I understand all the pressures. Everyone says, Ben, you've got to write about this, or Carey, you've got to write about that, or oh, I wouldn't write it like that, or don't worry about it. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of pressures, so it's kind of hard to get through that process and maintain, this is what I want. How many revisions did you do? When I read the book, it feels like I'm talking to you and you're going, hey Ben, no, don't be doing that. This is what you need to be doing, and this is why.
Yeah.
And this is how I've learned. And
I don't know whether we did it right, because I'm not. I like writing.
Yeah.
I do like I like dictating.
Yeah.
So I do like seeing stuff. I love reading stuff back. I do like people getting motivation out of what I write, because that's my main form of communication. So if that's my form of communication, then I'm not sure how many revisions I did. We wrote it on Sunday afternoons between sort of 3 and 6.
Yeah.
Every week from, Taryn, maybe for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, just sit behind the computer and just do a story and sort of, we gave it to a couple of guys, a couple of close business guys. We had to take a couple of stories out that were too close to the bone,
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
Whose bone? Your bone? Someone else's bone?
Actually theirs.
Okay.
Yeah, theirs. Because it sort of doesn't have names, but it has connotations.
Yeah. Not easy to censor like that, though, is it?
Well, New Zealand's so small.
Yeah.
Like, I always say I wish I had an insider blog where I could share all these stories, which I can't say publicly. I'm sure that you must have millions of stories that you'd love to share, but you just can't, because even if you don't state names, Glenn's going to turn around, isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and sometimes other people's reputation is more important than your own. So that's, you've got to respect that.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you said writing the book was just as hard, and then once it's out there, like, how hard was that? You finally got it in print.
Yeah.
And what did you do
It's
next?
sort of welcome to retail land. Everyone wants a piece of it.
Yeah.
Well, because the business side of the book market is quite cluttered, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've got to stand out in some way.
Yeah. Well, you've got to go one-on-one and peddle your book. No one's just gonna sort of buy your book because here's Carey jumped out of the tree with a book. It's up on the shelf with all the others, and if I sold one copy, that achieved what I wanted to achieve. We have sold a few copies, but that's the book is the book. Like the book's like a homemade dinner.
Yeah.
I look at every time I look at it, it gives me a nice feeling.
Do you open it up and get surprised? And do you sometimes get a bit of a shock? Oh, that's my book.
Well, I do get shocked by how generous people are in their comments of it, because it's not It's not a novel. It's a short read.
Yeah.
It's a
But that's what
our
gives it
20
so
read.
much impact.
Yeah.
The fact that it's not intimidating, you can just read it and you can pick it up and actually do something with it.
Well, I did. I've got to confess that the brainchild of the layout came from a guy who wrote the book Who Moved My Cheese.
Okay.
And he said to me there, Carey, there's two types of guys that read books.
Yeah.
Two types of people that read books. One that will read books from cover to cover. They just go to bed and they read their novel, no pictures, no nothing. He said the next guy is the one that reads the newspaper, and they can read 300 stories in an hour.
Yeah.
In the average newspaper.
Yeah.
And if they get to the centre of the newspaper, and it's a big story in the centre, usually those people won't read it.
Yeah.
I think I might be one of those.
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too hard. And he said you got to go to either market, but you can't be in the middle.
Yeah.
So I went to the market that reads newspapers.
You can see that online though. How often do you read the full article?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You struggle.
Just
I was
give me the
pro-
facts.
Yeah. Just skim through.
Yeah, straight in, and it wasn't a novel, and that's how it was sort of born, I suppose, to be snapshots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Can you share with us your favourite little story or tip out of the book?
My favourite story, I have unusual people contact me, and I had a guy with a plumbing business contact me.
Yeah.
Out in South Auckland, and he said to me, Carey, this phone thing, this phoning people back in 60 minutes. He said people never leave messages for me. He said I'm down the sewer pit, changing pipes, and my phone rings, and what am I meant to do? Sort of, uncover myself from all the crap I got all over me, and get up there and answer my phone, And he said, he said I was trying to work out why my phone would ring and people would leave messages, and he said I worked it out because when people ring me, they want a plumber now. They don't want a plumber.
Yeah.
Sort of like next month or a couple of days' time. So someone rings my phone. My business name is Rescue Plumbing. They want
a rescue.
They want a plumber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, not a sort of kitchen man that'll come around and quote in a couple of days.
Yeah.
He said, what I did, he said, Carey, I read your story about getting people back to people in 60 minutes. He said, I took that further and I left a message on my phone to say, so forth here, Rescue Plumbing, if you call back within 30, I guarantee to give you a return call within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
He said his message bank exploded.
Yeah.
Just exploded. And
It's simple, isn't it?
yeah,
Such a simple thing.
Yeah, because he said, he worked out that people were ringing him to get in touch with him, not to leave a message. But if he guaranteed when he would return people the call, then people would leave messages because they would say, okay, he's going to ring back, because all they're going to do is go from plumber to plumber to plumber.
Yeah.
Well, they're stressed.
Until they find a plumber, they're just going to keep going until they find one. He said that all he did was put a line in the sand that these people now could trust him to ring back. And he said his business has probably gone threefold. My favourite story is about promising people before they need a promise. Yeah.
Is it almost like over-delivering?
Yeah, outside of I leave a message on my phone that I'll get back to people in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I can do that. Except for my mates who sort of go, 60-minute challenge and all that sort of stuff. I can invariably get back to every person. It's not hard.
Yeah.
But if you've got the discipline, then the expectation comes with it.
Yeah.
And I find that discipline hard enough with email. Just to,
but
to
then
reply to email in a timely manner.
But then someone. It depends on what you do. People don't expect me to get back on email really quickly. I may not be able to get back to them within a day, but phones are what I do, and I, that's on me.
So it's all about setting expectations then, isn't it?
But if you're a person sitting in an office and your computer's in front of you, you need to get back to people within 5 minutes on email.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I find with Twitter I can get back because it's just so instant,
Sure.
and the messages are so short
Yeah.
that it is for me the easiest way to communicate in a fast manner, in a timely manner. Yeah.
Yeah. Depends on where your network is.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, our guest has been Carey Smith, CEO of Ray White Real Estate, and also the book called Deliver, which you can get at
Yeah.
online
Where can we find
anywhere
you
in the
online,
world.
Carey?
Get just KerrySmith.com.
Yeah, and you're also on Twitter, twitter.com/Carey Smith.
Definitely read the blog. It's a personal favourite of mine.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I have heard before, but that's what keeps it honest. Like,
And subscribe as well.
Yeah.
You can subscribe.
yeah, you have a nice little subscribe button there, I believe.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Actually, I found that recently one of the best ways to engage with a blogger is through an email subscription. It seems so old school, but if you get the email in your inbox,
Yeah.
and you might be on a train or on a bus or wherever, and you're looking through your inbox, it's such a
Yeah.
good time to read.
Yeah, it's a train or a bus. It's that or a pigeon, isn't it? So
Yeah.
why not email?
Excellent.
Carey Smith.
Thank you very much for
he's-
coming in.
I was going to say, he's someone in New Zealand, inspiring,
Definitely.
Right.
projecting out to the world.
You wouldn't have had him on unless he...
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. So that's been another episode of KiwiNation. Thanks very much for watching or listening or subscribing or however else you're engaging with this show. You can find me on Twitter. I'm twitter.com/Radio Wemo.
Twitter.com/Boygie.
We'll catch you next time.
Cheers.